Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. Folks, it's football time in Oklahoma and it's game week. The Oklahoma Sooners return to action this Saturday against the Illinois State Redbirds. And let's be upfront. This is your standard FBS, FCS game where there's not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of anticipation of what's going to happen in the ball game itself, other than a Sooner win. So we're not going to really break down the minutia of the ball game. We don't really do that anyways for big games. It's very rare that we do that. Now we'll do it for Michigan. That's different. But boys, what are we looking forward to as the season starts on Saturday, Jameson?
Just an offensive apt team. Is that enough to say? Just something where I can just latch onto and just get a little bit of optimism. I don't care if it's Illinois State. I just want the vibes to shift. An OU fan base is a very volatile fan base. And if we see just a lick of good, which we will versus Illinois State, all the people that were doomers are going to start to switch a little bit and we'll have a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between putting up a ton of numbers and a ton of points on a team and looking, like 100% good. We saw it last year, OU Temple. Even though the Sooners just completely crushed the Owls, there were moments where the offense looked a little janky at times, where you could tell it didn't look quite right. And I will say, I think that's I think that's definitely something that's multi-layered than just the points. Like an offense that looks sharp, looks like it knows what it's doing. A really sharp looking John Mutier, that would be just incredible.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big eye test game. Unfortunately, you're probably going to hear this from a lot of maybe people talking heads and analysis about this game. But like we're talking about, not to diminish Illinois State, but it should not be a competitive football game. And I think it's going to be pretty high scoring either way. 1982 in the comments right now says, if we don't have 35 to 42 points, he'll be disappointed. I would be pretty alarmed.
That would be bad.
Yeah, I would be sounding the alarm bells. But I think, yeah, like you guys touched on, the number one thing that I'm going to be looking for is, like I said, that eye test. And you want to, it's one of those, you'll know it when you see it. You don't want to look like a team that is out there just running up the score and everything you're doing is working and you're just trying to put up highlights. You want to look like a poised team that is still running up the score and still producing highlights, but a team that looks like it knows what it's doing, that it's been there before. And this is functioning as these games should function when you're the D1 SEC FBS team. And this as a glorified walkthrough is, I think, too disrespectful to Illinois State, but it should function almost like a dress rehearsal, or perhaps, when restaurants open, they first have like a friends and family night with a lighter crowd and something like that. That is what this should look like and function like. And we shouldn't be seeing, duct tape and paper clips and hope sort of holding things together or patching things together. So
I was wondering what duct tapes and paper clips was. I was like, what is this? And I was like, patch.
I don't want a single moment like what we had against Maine last year. That start of the Maine game where, you think that it can't get any worse and that it absolutely gets worse. I don't want to have that feeling one time against Illinois State, who I will add, Illinois State is ranked number 6 in the FBS preseason poll. This isn't, they might actually be better than Temple, but they're still not on the same, should not be on the same playing field as the Sooners.
Now for the next,
we put up 17 in the first Temple and 17 in the second. So we still felt pretty good.
Yeah. Well, kicking against Temple, but yeah.
Right. I know you have your points about that, but don't forget Jackson Arnold threw for 4 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, that was the thing, is it was an impressive performance, but you could see some cracks. I remember talking about it, and Arnold kind of said something when they scored once, they dropped a ton of points on him. He was like, "Oh, he scored a bunch of points. I don't know why anyone's upset."
Yeah,
I get it.
Will say, yeah, this is still eye testy, but one more concrete thing that I think we can dive into a little bit, and I think maybe the viewers and listeners would like to hear about. But for me, one of the things that I'm looking for that's a little bit more definable, although still very eye test, is who is going to step up specifically in the wide receiver room. I think it might be a little bit hard to delineate because, again, we expect most things to work, but I'm going to be paying pretty close attention to maybe some of the pregame and sideline dynamics in that room, seeing if people are bunched up, seeing if you can see someone that's sort of taking charge as a leader. I know that's hard to do when you're watching on TV. It's a great pastime when you're watching in person. And then again, those highlights, seeing if Mateer maybe favors someone, looking, some of that is design. Where is he looking first on his progressions? But seeing who Mateer kind of favors and has a bias towards, and then again, who steps up and just performance-wise. I don't know if the box score, and I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on this, but I don't know if the box score is going to tell the true who is WR1, 2, 3. But I'm excited to see that. That's my biggest question mark for the offense.
Yeah, I think that Satania is going to be that guy that we see first, that he's going to get a lot of the targets in this game. We're going to be like, is Satania on WR1? I just get ready for it, Ty. You're going to say that next week.
Right, but
I don't know.
I will say Satania.
If he has even one drop, he's dead to me. So
Ty's got a very, very thin ice whenever it comes to players. Do not burn him.
Mental error against Illinois State, unless you're like a third string running back, and then I will ride or die with you all the way to like a 6th year at Minnesota. But
Marcus Major. Oh Lord, that's funny. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of, we've had a couple moments where those wide receivers that really do pop out sometimes turn out to be kind of fool's gold early.
Charleston Rambo slander. Charleston Rambo slander. 7 minutes into the pod. No.
Bobby, I bet you're the homer, and you're already here trying to throw like, oh, someone's gonna look good in this game, but don't even like overreact. They're gonna suck.
I'm not saying they're gonna suck. I'm just saying, like, be careful. You never know. Like, I mean, last year, I'm trying to remember. We were all. I'm trying to. Who was the one guy who were like, okay, this is finally the situation where this guy pops out, and then he just never shows up again.
Taylor Tatum?
Not Taylor Tatum.
No, he just fumbled a lot.
Bauer Sharp?
He did fumble a lot.
I don't know.
No, but we saw way too much of Bauer Sharp.
Bauer Sharp was never there. That was just me trying to hype him up.
Last year in the game, it was like Bauer Sharp caught the touchdown. Everyone was like, oh, that's the guy that we knew. And then Dion had like three touchdowns.
On the receiver side, it was, they got racked with those injuries early on. So I think that's what you're thinking of maybe, but I don't know if it was their fault necessarily.
Fair. I get it. It was just one of those situations where I'm trying to remember the player's name. I'm literally scrolling back.
Thompson.
What's that? Not Brennan Thompson, because we saw a lot of Brennan Thompson. This is great podcasting, by the way.
Roberts, Brennan Thompson. I don't know.
Jaquez Petaway.
Oh man, that's from a couple years ago.
You guys were trying to.
No, that's 2020. Jaquez Petaway played in 2024.
But we started.
I swear to God,
we started the hype on him a couple years ago. Whenever he had a decent game in like the third or fourth quarter, whenever he was younger.
Right, and then this year, then last year, we're like, okay, maybe Petaway finally.
Big stinker.
Yeah, not great. Yeah, but I think that wide receiver hierarchy is going to be exciting. And I will say, I'm big on Satania. I think he's a burner. I think he's exciting. I don't know. I think the depth is going to be interesting to see there. And of course, you just hope, I think overall, blanket statement, health is the number one thing. You don't want anyone to get beat up against Illinois State. You want to keep it simple, button everything up, take care of business. That's number one. So just had to say that.
It's just funny that, Bobby, you're getting old. You're like, you know what? I just got to say, health is the number one thing. Health is, if you got your health, that's more.
I'm glad someone's saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Jameson's like, yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for bringing up health.
Bobby, when was the last time you went to the doctor?
What? No, leave me alone.
I said Ty.
Ty was ready.
I'm counting these. I send receipts to my insurance every time we do the pod. I say I met with a doctor. So
there you go.
I think that the wide receiver room, though, is something that we do need to talk about a little bit further. I think that we expect from like the first round of guys that come through, we will expect to see a Satania get some numbers. We'll expect to see a Deion Burks get some numbers, but we already said this in past pods. Like, I want to see Elijah Thomas catch a touchdown or make a big play or like a 40-yard catch. I want to see something like this. I want one guy that's wide receivers, like the second group or the third group. Like, I want something that I can latch onto and think that this guy could come up and make big time plays for us and be like a wide receiver 3 or 4. That'd be really big for us.
Right. Yeah. And I think to me, the youth aspect of it all, like you know, you should be in a position where you get some of those young players. I would love to see some Torrey Blaylock, some of his action, want to see these guys who we've been hearing about in camp, really kind of unleashed out there.
Mm-hmm. We saw it with Taylor Tatum last year in the game versus Temple. Like he had a touchdown. He got some good runs. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see the same thing. Torrey Blaylock, third quarter, fourth quarter, just starts racking it up. Yeah,
some Jaron Kanik tight end minutes. I want to see what that looks like.
He's going to get plenty of opportunity. He's going to be in there for a lot of this game because, he needs reps straight up. Like, we know he's an athlete, came into college as an athlete. He just needs more game reps at this, and this is a perfect game to do it.
Yep.
Do you think he can? Okay, let's play a little game. Time
to play the game.
Oh man, the rise and fall of Big Daddy Mark. All right. Who is more likely to get a touchdown? And I'll ask it for both of you guys. Is it tight end Carson Kent or tight end Jaron Kanik? I think Bobby's on mute.
Bobby's on mute.
Ty, I'll give it to you first. You got it. Oh, and Bobby has left the pod.
I think, for those listening on podcasts, I think Bobby is facing technical issues.
First string tight end,
it's gotta be
third string tight end.
I think it's got to be Kanik because I think I'm going with Kanik. The one thing that I am thinking about in this between first string and third string tight end is I feel like the receiver room is so deep potentially in a game like this where all of the guys should be able to just pure outspeed and talent our opponents. I think it's going to be really hard to compete further down the tight end depth chart for those potential sort of garbage time or second half touchdowns when you're going to have receivers that are like, that's a feisty room, right? And as we've just talked about, they don't really have an established hierarchy 1 through 7, 8, 9. 9's maybe a little extreme down there, but guys are going to be trying to show out, and I think they have the potential to. Whereas I think it's just going to be a little bit harder because I feel like from the coaching staff's perspective as well, I think Arbuckle, I think Venables, and everyone else probably has some of the same questions potentially as us and all the fans of what is going to be hierarchy of this very, I don't want to say deep as in like they're all going to be awards finalists, but deep as in there's, I think, a good amount of parity between maybe through the middle class of the receiver room, so to speak. So I think there's going to be more question marks and more intention on targeting the receivers deeper down. So kind of a long explanation, but I was waiting on Bobby to rejoin. So Bobby, I went with Kanik. If you didn't hear, maybe Jameson can repose the question.
Yeah, no, I did hear. My browser went a little bit weird there and legitimately was just like, yeah, doesn't work. Like, it's like you've just been kicked out. You have to reset it. So that was fun. No, but in my mind, in a weird way, I think Kanik too, just in terms of when you get down to garbage time, let's see what we can do. Let's try to explore with this guy, see what we can do. And, just plain and simple, it's something that the fans would completely lose their mind over. Like, I feel like, Kanik, definitely a bit of a fan favorite, in general with how goofy he is on social media and his dog burger and everything. Like, that, like, there's, I could definitely see it be like, hey, let's give him one. Let's give the crowd something fun.
Yeah. Fourth quarter, you've got Whit Neubauer in or something, and Kanik's out there. You run a play specifically for him. That just makes too much sense. I agree with you guys there. I think that they might create something special for him. And honestly, a lot of it too, like we say it as a joke and fun, but at the same time, it's like we want to establish confidence in a guy like this. It's a guy that has skills that could have came in and been this fullback kind of H-back tight end hybrid coming into this class, decided to play linebacker. But right now, like, he's a guy who has a lot of confidence in himself. And if he can start off the year with some sustenance in his game, like, that could go a long way. So I agree with you guys there. Okay, next one for you. Jaden Ott or Xavier Robinson?
In terms of more likely to have a touchdown?
For a touchdown. Yeah, God, why did I say quarterback? Carry on.
I'm going to go Jaden Ott just because, somebody's got to score in those early, first team rep plays. And I think even though it's going to be vanilla, Jaden Ott, out in space is someone that I don't think Illinois State will be equipped to stop. I think it's likely that both get in, but if I had to pick one over the other, I'm going to go with Ott.
Do you agree, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, it's the safe bet to go with the presumptive RB1, but yeah, I think we're going to want to, if Ott is who we think he is, particularly if he can stay healthy, we're going to get him runs in this game, right? Like, we're not going to probably rely on him super heavily. I hope not. Again, if things fall apart, they fall apart. But right, he's going to get at least 10 carries, I think, that are like real intentional carries to be able to do something. Probably get more than 10 carries, but 10 that are sort of plays that he's intended to get more than like 3-4 yards or position us kind of thing. And if he is who we think he is, and we know he can be based on his past performance out west, then I think, yeah, it's kind of inevitable that he's going to get a touchdown. So yeah, I think that is the safe bet. And I think he's the one that we're going to put in to sort of maybe make an announcement, I suppose, of, hey, he's on the scene and this is our guy. If we get down into like a short yardage situation and we just need someone to carry the ball across the line, I think, not saying we owe him anything, but I think that's kind of the, what you do if he's going to be our guy is you put him in this kind of game and get that stat line going for the season, get that touchdown out there and get that highlight reel piece that can go in, the intro video or whatever else. So I think Ott is, the safer bet, but yeah, I think probably both. I wouldn't be surprised if we have 2 RBs score and
there'll be plenty of RBs.
I think if we have 2 different RBs score, and I think 3 receivers. I think we'll have more, hopefully, fingers crossed, more than 5 touchdowns. But I think 5 different receivers and 2 running backs is a very conservative estimate for who we're going to see on that scoreboard.
I think X gets in more likely than Jaden Ott. I think Jaden Ott could be a 2-series guy and gets shut down. Just the way that they've treated him in camp so far. I bet you we see some big time plays from Mateer in the passing game, and then we don't see a touchdown from Jaden Ott today. That's my guess. And I think Xavier Robinson, a little bit younger, a little bit more to prove. We'll have a little bit more time to score. Last one
prediction. Spicy prediction on Ott. Receiving touchdown.
Touchdown.
I think that's completely fair. That's not even spicy.
Checkmate, Jameson.
Last one for you. And you could say neither on this one if you really want to. But what are the chances you'll see one of our 2 favorite guys from last year, Zion Kearney or Zion Reagans, make it into the end zone this game, and our opinions of them completely shift from what we had to deal with last year? Yeah, no one wants to talk about that.
No, I'll say it. Yeah, let's go with a Zion Kearney touchdown. Why not?
There you go. Good for you, Bobby.
Yeah,
I think neither is a safe one though, but
neither is safe. But if I had to pick a Zion, I'm going to pick Zion Kearney. So,
yeah, that's fair. Do you want to comment on that, Ty, or you defer?
Yeah, no. I just gotta check real quick. Zion Kearney. No. I know who they are. I need to check hometowns to see who is from more of a ball knower state. Ooh, see, Zion Kearney is from Texas, but Zion Reagans is from Georgia. So both are very ball knower states. But I have to go with Bobby on this one. Kearney, I think Texas takes it over Georgia. People, Texas is better than Georgia, but I think in terms of producing talent, it's unquestionable that Texas is better than Georgia. Yeah, he's from. I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna get too into the weeds of the small town football teams, high school. So go ahead and give me Zion Kearney, Texas, ball knower state.
Yeah, this is one of these games where if you're in a state that has like Prize Picks, Underdog that does college player lines, you can get really dirty with it. So it's going to be a fun one. I think on the defensive end, guys, I think really what we're kind of like getting more excited about is A, new guys, and B, guys that are going to be like the second and third rotation that can make a spark. On the defense, like, I mean, you say like new guys, you think Kendall Daniels. I mean, I want to see what he looks like in the cheetah, straight up. Like, it's going to look completely different, right? You know, like Dolby is the guy that was so great in that position last year, but at the same time, like him standing next to Daniels is completely different. So I'm curious to see if Daniels is everything that he's out to be, or would we see some cracks in his game where it's like, you know what, maybe I am a little bit nervous that I wish I had a little bit of a quicker guy than Daniels. Daniels is fast, but is he as quick as Dolby? No. And I don't want this to turn into something where it's like he could be exposed like a Dasan McCullough. He's nothing like him. Nothing like him. But I want to see a guy out there who completely shuts everything down and does not look like there's any kind of weakness in this game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Dolby is even though I like his style of play was not the typical cheetah role because of his size, but you know, his speed brought an element to it that was really exciting and really interesting. So I feel like even though Daniels is slower, he's more of a prototypical hybrid, you know, type of player that really fits that role pretty perfectly. So I think that you still have a possibility to put Dolby in, you know, if you require a little bit more speed on the field, that sort of thing. But overall, I'm interested to see how someone who we all think is going to be a perfect fit at this spot ends up playing.
Real quick, Jameson, before I get into my answer, can you just reiterate, because it's going to help me answer, the primary difference between the two, or I guess the most profound difference between the two?
The two players, their height,
yes.
Huge.
But
like,
I think you said something about their speed as well.
One's quicker than the other. Like I'd say Kendall Daniels has still got straight line speed, but obviously whenever you're 6'4", isn't that how tall he is? And then what's Dolby? 5'10"? That's off the dome right here. Obviously
that is how you measure his height is measured from the dome.
Stop. God.
Dolby's 5'11".
Okay, whatever. Like close enough.
So what I'm
like Dolby's got good foot speed, and that's what made him so valuable. In terms of his quickness, change of direction. I just don't want to see that kind of thing where it's like you see guys bigger position in the cheetah that we've seen in the past, whether that be Omasiga, whether that be McCullough. We've seen those guys kind of get picked on in coverage. I don't want to see that in Daniels, which I don't think I will, but I still obviously want to be more optimistic of his game going into the big game of Michigan rather than worry a little bit about it.
Yeah, Daniels is 6'5".
It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah. So
personally, as an OU fan, you know, it's like that fool me once, fool me twice, fool me. What are we on, like season 7, 8, 9, something at this point? Do we really want to just institute speed D under Brent Venables? Do we need smaller, faster guys out there? But that being said, I just Jameson went on longer than I thought. I thought he was just going to say speed, and I was going to drop that joke. But
sorry.
And it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge finding a cheetah position type of guy who has the size and the speed, because we've gotten guys who look like they'd be in that position and they're either really fast downhill and don't have that mobility, or you know, they're just clunky. They have cement feet, and you'd really hope that Daniels doesn't have that, because he certainly meets the size requirement. He's fast. He has a body of work at Oklahoma State that showed that he is a damn good player. I'm optimistic about it, and I'll say this: Michigan traditionally has, you know, really thrived in the tight end game. I haven't taken too much of a gander at them this year. I imagine it's probably more the same.
So,
what's that?
You know, they just lost their tight end one from last year as a first-round draft pick. So,
yeah. There's always one waiting in the wings, Jameson. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know much about their tight end two from last year.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's a primary thing. And to kind of tie this back to one of the first things we said on the pod was things that you're looking for. One of the things that I'm looking for is, particularly when we're in these discussions like this about the cheetah here, where we're sort of suffering from success or drowning in depth here, where we have two very different guys, size that's still quick, still, as we've established, a very, very reliable, what you're going to get from him kind of guy. And then also, maybe someone that is faster. And the position is called Cheetah for a reason, which just sounded like a cool buzzword. And it sounds like I know what I'm talking about when I say that. I don't know why it's called Cheetah, but I'm going to assume that it's speed related. And that sounded cool to say in the moment. But the main thing that I'm going to be looking for is those options. And with Brent Venables more focused on the D, I would like to see, a bit more creative. And this is not saying that we haven't been creative in the past, but when we have these question marks on defense, where I'm very confident that everyone can go out there and be a dog and perform, I'm very excited to see the potential for maybe different sets and maybe a cheetah by committee situation if we're facing a team that is going to maybe present a little bit more tight ends across the middle or in short yardage, that we need size more than downhill or straight line speed. Or maybe we're going to face a team that has some smaller but quicker receivers and maybe less of a run threat, and we can change things up. So that's going to be a big thing for me. Is, again, we're not going to roll out the entire playbook in week one. I sure hope not. But, seeing us testing out some different sets and primarily on the defense, I would love to see a lot of people get reps in, because, you're going to face some dogs in the SEC. You're going to face some dogs with our schedule down the road. And even just as a load management thing, I would love to see just a lot of people getting reps early on. That's going to be my biggest thing that I'm looking for on the D side. But to take it back to the cheetah question, I do, in fact, prefer someone that maybe is a little quicker and can play that flex position that is the cheetah.
Yeah, I get it. Let's play the game here. Who do you think, or both, or neither, gets a sack in this game? David Stone or Danny Okoye, Bobby?
Let's go with both.
Both.
I think let's go with both. I think it's going to be a big flex of a, I think that's going to be our takeaway, is we're going to see a lot of really strong defensive line play. So I'm going to go with both.
Ty,
if I had to pick one, David
right
Stone.
Answer.
Yeah, I think that is the right answer. And if the D line is what we're led to believe, that should be inevitable. One of the things I texted you guys in probably 40% joking was some of my expectations for the game was more than 3 individual sacks. So yeah, I think both the D-line guys, particularly with what I've been hearing about this D-line in the offseason, based on last time we did this pod was the only time I've heard anything about them. But it's, I think that this is a team or a position group that should be producing sacks against a team like we're facing this Saturday.
I don't want to put this much. Go ahead.
Jason, I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't want to put too much pressure. We said at the same time. That was horrible. Man, yuck. I don't want to put too much pressure. We opened up with the same words too. I don't want to put too much pressure on this guy. But if Taylor Wine doesn't either make a big TFL or a sack, I'm going to kind of be disappointed based off all of the offseason hype.
Yeah. And It's hard because we know that they all listen to this pod. So it is, we gotta think carefully when we put this stuff out there, because it's going to be in their heads.
I made a discovery and I got to bring it up. I hate to pause the game. The starting running back for Illinois State is named Winkers Wright.
No way.
Winkers.
Dude, this
WENKERS.
Dude, he's
Winkers.
going to absolutely kick our ass. He's going to have a 60-yard break.
Yeah, Winkers Wright, and their quarterback is Tommy Rittenhouse, who is a dual threat type of guy.
Has he always played at Illinois State?
I don't know. I have not followed Tommy Rittenhouse.
This sounds like
nor have I followed Winkers Wright.
I need to.
You know what? Maybe I'm just familiar with his last name.
Let's play the game. Let's continue with the game. Please continue with the game, Jameson.
I hope this game doesn't turn into a...
I knew that name rung a bell, Bobby. And I said,
Jameson,
there's something.
please continue with the game.
All right. Name one player in the D-backs you're going to call your shot that's going to get an interception.
Ooh, I'm gonna
Delarian
go with Cortland
Turner-Yell.
Guillory.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's a good one, Ty. I think Delarian Turner, there's anything's possible.
Did he really say? Well, he does have a streak of like 40, 50 game balls in a row. So
Yeah, pretty damn good
even
player.
from the NFL, still getting OU game balls.
If Guillory gets one, everyone's gonna go crazy. My guess is it's gonna be a safety. Give me Reggie Powers. I like Reggie Powers in this one.
Be a nice one. I know I'm kind of like pitching like a fan, like I don't know, a fanfic of like what would be the greatest opener of all of the like really cool freshmen going crazy. Like, but
There's a really good freshman
All right,
quarterback
well, that's-
that, if I remember right, Bobby said that he was going to be an All-American. Do you remember his name, Ty?
first ever podcast we ever did.
Do you remember
Freshman
his
quarterback.
name? Freshman cornerback that Bobby said was going to be
cornerback.
corner.
Mm,
Do you remember his name? I'll give you a hint. We're number 44.
that doesn't help me, but cornerback.
Come on, Ty.
Ty, how do you not?
I can name 2 OU cornerbacks.
Bobby,
off the top of
just
my
come
dome.
out and say it.
Zach Sanchez and Woody Washington.
Come
You-
out and just say
You
it.
forgot
Just
about
say it.
Buki? You really forgot about Buki, Ty?
Corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Buki, as a corner. Yeah. I did
Yeah.
forget about Buki as a corner. I'll tell you
I
what.
predicted him to
whenever
be
he
first
was
team
on-
all Big 12 was one of my first takes on this podcast, which to be fair, it's been up from there.
He was technically a 5-star.
He was.
Yeah, that
And
wasn't
everyone
that hot of a take.
I thought a fellow short king would go out and I didn't think height mattered, but I guess it did.
Yuck.
Yeah, bad.
That's
We've all had
not
bad
a good
takes,
memory.
Jameson. We've
Yep,
all had
yep.
bad takes. That one was
Yeah.
pretty bad though. That's
Yep. Hey, that's part of podcasting. You just got to go out there and just say random stuff, and you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. And
That's
Ty
showbiz,
wants to say
baby.
something wrong. Ty, tell me what you're going to say wrong.
This is not wrong. You guys are going to hate this because you don't see
Okay.
the vision. You guys don't see the vision, and you don't have hate in your heart like I do. What should we see for an interception? We should see 0 interceptions from this OU team, because if they get the ball off, we have failed as a defense. We should be on their 3rd string quarterback by the time we hit the 2nd quarter, and none of them should have had the ball leave their hands unless it's been a fumble. So if this D line is not hitting them before they can get the ball off, then we need to make some changes on the coaching staff.
I just want Rittenhouse just to throw a moon ball up to the sky. Stop smirking, Bobby.
You do not. No, Jameson, you do not.
you
Bobby's
just say
gonna
the
hate this
quarterback.
Bobby's going to hate this one. You don't want to get into shootout with him.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to what? Score prediction? Do you think that we score over under 45 points?
Over. I'm gonna go over.
Mm-hmm. Over
Yeah.
for me
We
as well.
should-
I also go it's
yeah.
over. Couple predictions in the chat. Man of Steel 09 has OU 48, Illinois State 7. OU 45, Illinois State 10 from Jimmy Satterfield. Rocky has OU winning 70-0. Sugoi English 1, 65-0. Apologize if I pronounce that wrong. And Ron Brown in the chat,
Ron.
OU 31, the Redbirds 17. He
Ron,
also said,
speak up.
don't
Are you an
sleep on the
Illinois State
Redbirds.
fan? You an Illinois
Yeah, Ron,
State
if you're an
fan, Ron?
Illinois State fan, thanks for coming through. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. Or he's just an FCS knower. I will say, Illinois State, again, FCS wise, very solid team. They're like that's a solid team. They don't have the name power of the North Dakota State, South Dakota State, those sort of Montana, but they are not a pushover. Like, they're probably going to be better than Temple. I don't think they're going to give them that much of a push. I hope it's not going to be dodgy, but we'll see.
Over under 7 for Illinois State.
See, I like Ron, because Ron just said, remember Boise State, and I love the implication that they are an FCS team. So I love to see that. But what was the
Yeah.
question, Jameson?
Over under 7 for them.
From them?
Is he referring to Ball State?
No, we beat Ball State
Okay.
when we played them. He's talking about Boise.
Okay.
He's mainly saying don't overlook Illinois State. But
I get it.
I mean, just frankly, if Illinois State plays this game close, it would be a massive, massive upset.
Yeah. So 7. Give me over under 7. Do they score? And let's call it this 6.5. Over under 6.5 for.
That's a better line.
Will they score a touchdown? Okay, so no touchdown from Illinois State.
I feel like it's going to be a field goal if it's that. I know that's a lot. I'm a big believer in this defense. I think OU's coming out fired up after a really disappointing year. I think they want to send a statement, or maybe it's not a statement to beat Illinois State, but I think they're going to want to come out firing on all, really just on all cylinders.
There it is.
Thank you.
No, I'm bad at words, so
yeah,
it's rare that I remember them.
It's been a day. Bad at words, but host a podcast. Genius idea. Ty, what do you think?
People listen.
I think over, but I have a quick question for both of y'all based on what Ron is saying in the chat. Oh my goodness, Ron, this could not be more perfect. You're gonna love this one. My question for you guys is, who was the defensive coordinator in that 2007 OU versus Boise State game that had the OU defense not prepared?
To be fair, I don't think you could have prepared for any of that. Like, it's not like Boise was running the hook and ladder all season, but it's Brent Venables.
That was for you, Ron. I think over. I think they're going to get a touchdown. To Brent Venables' credit, and this is a positive or a negative, depending on how you look at it. I don't think he has that desire to bring a team like Illinois State in and just stay on the gas on them the whole time. I think we're going to try to get our cushion, and then I think we're going to do things that are going to result in points against them, but it's going to be to test and to develop confidence and everything else on our end. I don't think we're going to give them a touchdown, but it would not surprise me if we're just kind of playing around with things with intention at the end of the game, and they perhaps get a touchdown and here or there. Kind of the same thing on the offense. If we're looking at the offensive predictions, I would love to see over 50, but I forget who said it. I think Jimmy in the chat, 45-10. 10's maybe a little more than I'd like to see from them, but I could very easily see us getting 35-0 and then just starting to plug and play different things, different people, and everything else, which I think is good for us long term. 45-10, I think, is a little negative on us, but it could happen. I don't think that's unrealistic, and really, I think something around like the 54-7 mark is where I see this one ending up. I think we could do much more. We could do 77-0, but I just don't see that from BV as a nice guy, but also someone that has intention to look further than just one game.
Yeah, they have the over-under at 60.5 and the line at 35.5 OU, which Vegas is implying they think that Illinois State should put up a touchdown in this game. So I don't know about that. To tell you the truth, that 35.5 is a little bit delicious for me. So I really like that one. I think new offensive coordinator is going to go out and show out. That's just the way it is. People in their first game in a new big time program are not going to go and be conservative. It's not the same old baloney that we see in the past where Lincoln holds all of his plays till later and we never see anything fun. It's just so vanilla. And we're like, can we just at least see something? And I don't expect that out of a younger guy, that this is his, and I don't want to disrespect Washington State, but like, this is his first time out, being out with the big boys.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. It's a chance to really kind of flex a little bit. And, I hope it is mostly still vanilla. Obviously big game against Michigan next week. You don't want to show much. But, I think you have the offensive firepower to do that. But I'm excited to see. Jimmy asked when the depth chart will be released. It looks like last year it got released. Let's see, August 25th. It looks like it should have probably been it would have come out, on the Sunday before the game. So looks like it's a little bit different. So they're a little bit overdue. So past historical precedent here. We'll see what happens there.
And didn't we not play on a Saturday though, Bobby?
That is true. Thank you. I totally forgot that game was on a Friday against Temple. So, hey, look for it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Boom. I beat Bobby on remembering things. Hell yes.
Thanks. I totally forgot about the existence of that Temple game for in terms of what happened in it, yeah, but there you go. Well done, James. Well done.
Woo.
Look, we also, before we wrap this up, any final thoughts on Illinois State this game before we move on to one last little bit?
I think you can go, James.
I was just saying, I just want to see football. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Apologies to everyone listening. We are still warming up for the season. We're going to give a C grade for this podcast for our scheme. But yeah, same thing. I'm excited to see OU take the field. I'm excited to see the new sort of generation of OU football that we're going to see out here. I understand that we're seeing a lot of the same, but we're also, this is a big year for us. And I think that a lot of things are in place to make this a much more positive year than last year was. So I'm excited to see how we start that and where this team goes.
Yep. Very excited to see how it goes. I'm entering the season with good vibes, even though obviously the stakes are high and all that. I don't know. I'm optimistic, but last bit. Yes, Ron, we do this about this time every Sunday night, recapping the previous game and looking forward to the next one. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see us, follow us throughout the season for sure. Good luck with the armadillo. So I wanted to end this with some big news that came through at the end of last week. The SEC moving to 9 conference games starting in 2026, which means 2 things. Well, 1, kind of trimming out some of the cupcake games, and 2, OU will have 3 protected rivals going forward as sort of projected ahead of time. And guys, I got to ask. So 1, Jameson, what does this mean? Like, how big of a deal do you think this is? And 2, who do you think OU's protected rivals should be? Let's kind of we'll keep it kind of concise as we can.
I think it means if you want to make a really easy solution to this, just reestablish Bedlam, and there you go. There's your win. And there's your Thanksgiving game every single year.
In terms of the non-conference requirement?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Clemson and South Carolina does it with Clemson. Florida does it with Florida State. I mean, we can always schedule a big name opponent. We don't have to be like hamstrung to 2 soft games a year and then 1 big game a year. We can always do another one at the beginning of the year, whether that be ones that we have scheduled out to the future. But I think that's the thing that I hope for, because I know a lot of OU writers podcasts have been talking about who is OU's rival in the SEC and who should they play annually on Thanksgiving. The answer is Oklahoma State, straight up, signed, sealed, delivered.
And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but looking how this thing is going and the SEC and Big Ten potentially having a scheduling agreement where you'll see the 2 sides cross over, I think the answer could be a very clear Nebraska, a return of OU Nebraska. If those two conferences are having games where they're regularly scheduled, that just makes a lot of sense to me. If we're talking about the outside non-conference aspect of it all, that being said, I think it's great. I think it means more good games. Always, I will always take that option. I will always take the option that will give us better college football, with more meaningful matchups. 9 should have been it for a long time. I'm intrigued to see who the annual protected rivals are, who OU's teams will be. I think it's a lock for Texas. Ty's going to hate it. It's going to be a lock for Missouri too. Just given the Big 8, you can say whatever you feel about that. In terms of if you think they're a rival, if you don't think they're a rival, at the end of the day, they're a team OU has deep history with in terms of playing a bunch of times. They also have that with Iowa State, and Iowa State is the farthest thing from a rival. And that because of that, that's absolutely going to be one of the three for sure. It's a third that I don't really know. And I'm intrigued to see. I know some people are saying Florida. I kind of hate that idea. I think you have to have some sort of decent regionality there, and that
doesn't give us an answer
sense
to the Sunday and to the I keep wanting to say Sunday, to the Thanksgiving problem.
Yeah, but I'm not even really posing the Thanksgiving problem. I'm like that's obviously an issue, but it's more of I'm just trying to figure out who the three teams we're playing every year.
Because Missouri's always going to play Arkansas in the Thanksgiving game, and we're not going to play Texas in the Thanksgiving game, and Florida's going to play Florida State. So who the hell are we going to play then?
Right. And Missouri, Arkansas doesn't have to be, set in stone. Like that, the battle line game isn't exactly rich with history. I think a non-con. I'm with you, Jameson. I think a non-conference is probably the best move going forward if we're talking about Thanksgiving. But I don't know. I feel like that's a different challenge for a different time.
I'm with Bobby. I think Nebraska, and I have no sort of emotional attachment to OU Nebraska. I don't like. I understand the historical significances there, so I want to be careful with this, but like I don't feel it with Nebraska, especially like when we hosted Nebraska and I went to that game. It didn't feel like a rivalry game whenever we met Nebraska fans and such. It felt like we were, it's like running into an old friend that you didn't expect to run into or something kind of relationship. It didn't feel like a rivalry. At the same time, I understand the significance, and the Big Ten, Big Ten SEC matchup, I think is much more marketable, even if it is Nebraska versus OU. So I personally, although I love Bedlam much more, I think the Nebraska thing has much more weight to it, much more marketability. And I think it makes a little bit more sense with sort of the spirit that these teams are and the conferences are looking for in signing these scheduling agreements. In signing I guess the scheduling compliance rules or whatever the specific term is for having to have 9 conference games and then a power 2 or 3 whatever out of conference game. At the same time, I don't understand I think if we're going to have to make up a rivalry out of nowhere, I understand that on paper, OU Missouri is one. And this is not trying to be an anti-Missouri bit, but to advocate for the Florida thing, I think Florida has really cool potential because if you said we couldn't do Oklahoma State, we couldn't do Nebraska for our
Florida's going to play Florida State then,
whatever.
So
no, but I'm saying.
Well, we're not even talking about Thanksgiving.
No, but I'm saying
we're just talking about that third spot.
The out of conference. I think the main thing I would look at personally is try to establish some continual thing in a place that is great for recruiting. So I would, somewhere California, like UCLA or Cal, even if we could get on their schedule as a recurrent thing, or someone in Florida. Or maybe someone up in like the Northeast that you could pull, like DC and North Carolina and those other little people are going to get mad that I said DC and North Carolina and Northeast, but sort of Eastern Seaboard that also produces some recruiting. Yeah, Atlantic Seaboard that produces some recruiting. So personally, I don't hate Florida. Right, you're great for recruiting, and I think there is enough history there, especially now that like the Urban Meyer Bob Stoops Championship and stuff like that has become like vintage.
That was a weird take. That was a very weird take.
That was a weird take, man. I don't know.
I was just naming. Cal is not where we are trying to recruit, but like UCLA. I think UCLA is
how the hell is that going to work?
Because there's recruits out there. It's not.
We're not going to waste one of our 3 non-cons on UCLA every year. The reality
we've done it a lot.
I think that it's either you pick LSU and then that's that slot for the rest of
as a non-con game.
No. As that, I really think that whenever we talk about the 3 teams, we have to throw in of who's going to be rivalry week into that, because Texas is not going to be
I would love for it
rivalry
to be LSU.
week. And if they did that, screw them. Do not move Texas away from October. That would piss me off.
Wouldn't.
They would never ever do that. And then
Texas is A&M on that weekend. So.
And then I think that Missouri and Arkansas have been around town to where they already kind of have like seniority stuck in that slot. And to where I think that I don't know if they would move that, Bobby. And when it comes down to it, I don't know if they want to pick LSU as a recurring rivalry because LSU, I think, might be better elsewhere versus other opponents. To where if we do pick Florida, I see that and it makes sense. But we need a non-con. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Florida, Missouri, and Texas, and then we kind of like make up games in rivalry week, or maybe even do one of our 3 non-cons, like versus one of our crap ones that game. And then eventually in the future, we sign and rekindle a relationship with Oklahoma State. And I get it. I get it that y'all want Nebraska, but the reality of it is it's been too long. Things have moved on, and we've got to cater things to the current generation of fans. And the majority of the generation of fans right now that are going to grow older don't have that Nebraska-Oklahoma rivalry in their heart.
I get that, but I feel like there's also there are more elements to it than just, that it feels way more maneuverable, more realistic, weirdly enough, that Nebraska would fit into that spot given where they are with the Big Ten, and given that Oklahoma State doesn't completely hate OU's guts and, clearly doesn't want to schedule OU.
If it becomes a super conference between Big Ten and SEC, yes. But if not,
yeah.
I
like
want
a scheduling agreement.
Oklahoma State, just for the future, if we lose Oklahoma State forever, that's heartbreaking. I want this to be a temporary breakup.
I mean, I want another crack at them as much as anyone. Like,
I want it every year.
Yeah. Like, I'm cool with it every year. I'm cool with it every year for sure. We'll see how it goes. For me, I've mentally already made my peace that ship has sailed as far as it being an annual thing for a good while.
It's just ridiculous. Like, there's no,
how
many other places around the country have it like that?
Where the 2 big in-state schools don't play every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, for a while, it was Texas A&M, and then,
but Texas,
that was really it in terms of Cold Wars.
Because Texas has like a bunch of big schools there.
Yeah, but it's clearly A&M and Texas is 1 and 2.
Texas A&M is very much.
I get it, and that's why it was such a big deal last year. I get that, but like at the same time, like at the level of what Oklahoma is as a state, it's absolutely ridiculous that you don't play Oklahoma State. And eventually, I feel like we'll get back to it, and I think that's a perfect spot in that rivalry week.
Yeah, and Wes brought up a really good point. Oregon State and Washington State, they kept everything going fine, and I don't know. I get scheduling is weird, but they should make that happen.
Clemson, South Carolina, Florida State, like we see so much of this.
And I was reading somewhere, someone came up with a good idea that they should just have like a jubilee and just like reset everything, like just cancel every single future scheduled game and just everybody restart. Like,
yeah, you think
Bedlam shouldn't be held up because OSU scheduled Alabama in 2031. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah,
we should
talks, have Bobby. That ain't gonna happen.
No, but it should.
You know what? Give me one. If carte blanche. One completely new rivalry game. Give me Miami.
So let's stop talking about out of SEC rivalries. I feel like that's just
my answer. It's Missouri, Florida, Texas.
I see. Look, I know the problem is there are so many teams that already have entrenched rivals. Like, I would love to have Arkansas. I would love to have A&M. You're just not going to be able to wiggle one of those free. I don't know. Florida, I guess, makes sense. I'm with you, Jameson. It gets really tricky with that Thanksgiving weekend because if it is those 3, you're just kind of dealing with the SEC to possibly rotate one of those randos in. And, the SEC is chock full of rivalry weekend, traditions, Kentucky, Louisville, and, a lot of those other ACC ones. And I don't know. It's going to make sense. It's going to be really interesting how it all shakes out. Wes, I agree. Arkansas OU makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. It's a really, really weird discussion of trying to figure out that third because there just really isn't a perfect third for OU in terms of that other school's availability. Even LSU is a little dodgy, with how much rivalry they have around them. And I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. We're about to hop in and record Weekend Spread, our Pick'em podcast, and we've gone way longer than projected. So we're going to wrap this thing up and get to that. You can expect to see that in the coming days. If you want to be notified when that comes on, if you're watching live here on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned with our coverage of the Sooners all season long. That pod will be coming up where we'll be predicting the best matchups from week 1 coming out soon. So, for me, Jameson and Ty, this has been the Schooner Pod. Thank you all so much for listening or watching. We'll see you next week when we recap this game and look forward to Michigan. Have a good one. Boomer Sooner, everybody.